Hi and welcome to our 5-minute safety video series. My name is Michael Terry, I'm from Momentum Safety and Ergonomics, and in this series we try and tackle important health and safety topics and we try and get it done in around about 5 minutes. Today we're going to be tackling health and safety duties under the Work Health and Safety Act in Australia. This video is a follow-up from the Work Health and Safety legislation video that we covered previously. Okay, I think there are three main players in the game when it comes to those who have duties under the Work Health and Safety Act. Those players are firstly the business or undertaking itself, and this is going to include your company, but may also include other non-business type undertakings. It does not include volunteer associations that are 100% volunteer associations and don't employ any people. The second player is the officer of the business or undertaking, and this is defined as those who have significant influence over the running of the business, and it's actually defined under the Corporations Act. And the third player are the workers, and this will include middle management or those who have supervisory capacity, but also other workers who don't have that type of capacity. So jumping straight in, the first player was the business or undertaking. And the business itself has specific duties for health and safety, and these are to ensure, so far as reasonably practicable, the health and safety of its workers. Now that's a very general statement, and the Act goes on to give us a bit more information about what that might include. So it includes things like making sure you have a safe working environment, that you have safe plant and structures, such as good maintenance, safe systems of work, such as good risk assessments and safe work procedures. You have appropriate processes to handle chemicals and substances, that you have an appropriate information, training and instruction regime, which will include our induction and training systems, that we have appropriate welfare facilities for workers, such as appropriate drinking water, all the simple stuff like that, and that we have ways of monitoring workers' health and the business conditions or the safety conditions within the business itself. Those are the key duties for the business or undertaking. Now, the officer themselves also have specific duties under the Act, and these duties are defined as due diligence. They have a specific definition. They are individual duties, and an officer themselves can be held individually liable for not complying with them. Those duties include appropriate knowledge of health and safety and of the risks and hazards within your own company. So you've got to understand the health and safety profile of your own company. You must have appropriate actions in place, which are including providing appropriate resource, appropriate information gathering systems, and making sure through appropriate verification, such as audits, that these processes are being implemented into the workplace. All these things are individual actions for officers. Now, the third player was the worker, and every worker must make sure they take reasonable steps to ensure their own health and safety. But they also must take reasonable steps to ensure their acts or omissions or their conduct does not adversely affect the health and safety of someone else. This is particularly relevant if you're a supervisor or manager and your actions directly control the way another person might act. Workers themselves must comply with appropriate instructions and policies and procedures as long as they're reasonable and as long as they've been notified about them. There are penalties associated with non-compliance for these duties, and these penalties have 3 different categories. We won't go into them in a lot of detail, but Category 1 is the highest and Category 3 is the lowest. They depend on the seriousness of the potential risk or injury, but also how reckless it's perceived that the individual or company was. Also, it will depend on whether you're a company, an officer, or an individual as to what the fine may be or what the potential jail time might be as well. Now, keep in mind, the information on this slide is maximum penalties, and these are rarely applied. So there we go. Very quick summary of the health and safety duties under the Australian Work Health and Safety legislation. Key takeaways are that we have key duties for businesses, officers, and workers. Every business must ensure the health and safety of its workers so far as reasonably practicable. That's the key overarching duty of them all. If you're an officer within a business, i.e. a person who has significant control, then you must exercise due diligence. And if you're a worker, you must make sure that your actions don't adversely affect the health and safety of others, and that you comply with reasonable policies, procedures and instructions. We'll have links to more detail on every one of these duties in the final slide of the video. But other than that, thank you for listening. This has been our 5-minute health and safety video on work health and safety duties within Australia.